In America, we have got to demilitarize local police departments. We have got to make police departments reflect the diversity of the communities they serve. We have got to rethink the war on drugs. Over the last 30 years, millions of Americans have received police records for possession of marijuana. Today, marijuana is listed as a Schedule I drug in the Federal Controlled Substance Act, alongside of heroin. And that is why I have introduced legislation to take marijuana out of the Federal Controlled Substance Act. As you all know, states make the decision regarding legalization of marijuana, but it should not be a federal crime. And when we talk about drugs, it's important to understand that we have a real crisis in this country, in my state, in New Hampshire, all over this country, of addiction to opiates and addiction to heroin. If we are going to be effective in addressing that serious crisis, we need to understand that drug abuse, alcohol abuse, substance abuse is a health issue, not a criminal issue. Today, the United States has more people in jail than any other country on earth. And not unrelated to that is that youth unemployment for our kids is sky high. For white kids, 33%. For Latino kids, 36%. African American kids, 51%. Together, we are going to protect our kids by investing in education and jobs, not jails and incarceration. This campaign is listening to women. And women are telling me they are sick and tired of working for 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. They want the whole damn dollar. And I know that every man here will stand with the women in the fight for pay equity. You know, we got Republicans running all over the country talking about family values, how much they love families. Everybody here must understand that when Republicans talk about family values, what they are saying is no woman here tonight in this state, in this country, should have the right to control her own body. I disagree. They are saying that our gay brothers and sisters should not have the right to get married. I disagree. Now, Jane and I have been married for 27 years. We have 4 kids, 7 grandchildren. And we believe in family, but our views a little bit different than Republicans. When I talk about family values, I talk about ending the international disgrace of the United States being the only major country on earth that does not guarantee paid family and medical leave. This campaign is listening to young people. And I am so excited that all over this country, young people are standing up and fighting for their rights. Young people are the future of our nation, and they want a say in the future of our nation. Young people tell me that their parents, their teachers, everybody said to them, go out and get the best education that you can. That it is important for you, it's important for our economy. You go to school and you get all of the education you can. And that was the right advice. Problem is that many of these young people have come out of school $30,000, $50,000, $80,000 in debt. What this campaign is about is asking the American people to think outside of the box, to think outside of the status quo, to understand that we can change in a fundamental way the status quo. It doesn't have to continue. Think about it for 1 second. Why are we punishing millions of people for getting an education? Why are we forcing them to pay off outrageous levels of student debt, in some cases for decades? We should be rewarding people for getting an education, not punishing them. Look, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, it was a great idea that we had public education systems throughout our country which guaranteed free public education to all from first grade to 12th grade. That was an enormous achievement. But in 2016, the economy and the world is different than it was 50 years ago. People today need more education. "50 years ago, a high school degree was the equivalent of what a college degree is today. It enabled you to go out and get a decent job. The world has changed, the economy has changed, and our conception of public education has got to change. And that is why I believe that we have got to make public colleges and universities tuition free. Now, some people think that this is a radical idea. It is not a radical idea. Germany does it, Scandinavia does it, countries all over the world invest in their young people because they understand a well-educated population is the future of their country. Furthermore, we have got to deal with this crisis of student debt, which means that we have got to give those millions of people now carrying student debt the opportunity to refinance those loans at the lowest interest rates they can find. This campaign is listening to the Latino community. There are today about 11 million people in this country who are undocumented. And what the Latino community is telling me is they are tired of living in the shadows. They are tired of being exploited. They are tired of living in fear. I want comprehensive immigration reform and a path towards citizenship. And let me just say that if the Congress does not do their job and pass comprehensive immigration reform, I will use the executive powers of the presidency to do everything I can. Immigration reform is about bringing families together, not separating them. It is about ending the deportations we see today. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the African American community. And they are asking me how it can be that this country has trillions of dollars to spend on a war in Iraq that we never should have gotten into in the first place. A war which I strongly opposed. But somehow we can spend trillions on that war, but we don't have the funds available to rebuild crumbling inner cities all over this country. Well, we're going to change those priorities. No more tax breaks for billionaires and large corporations. We're going to invest in inner cities, create great schools, put people to work, provide health care to all. I was in Flint, Michigan 3 or 4 weeks ago, and what I observed in Flint and what I heard from people was literally something that not only broke my heart, it was hard for me to believe was occurring in the United States of America in the year 2016. In this country, children are being poisoned with excessive lead in the water in America in 2016. Now, Flint may be the worst example of a collapsing infrastructure, but it is not the only example. All over this country, hundreds of cities have inadequate water systems, inadequate wastewater plants, bridges are deteriorating, roads are inadequate, our rail system fallen behind many other countries, levees and dams need enormous amounts of work. We can create 11 million good-paying jobs rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the Native American community. Now, I don't have to tell anyone here tonight who has read 5 minutes of American history that from day one, when the first settlers came to this country before we were a nation, Native Americans were lied to, they were treated in absolutely disgraceful ways. Treaties negotiated in good faith were broken. We owe the Native American community far more than we can repay. Some of the best parts of our culture, some of the very best parts of our culture come from the first Americans. Our understanding of the environment and the need to be part of nature, not to destroy nature, comes from Native Americans. But today, all over this country, we find on reservations and in Native American communities unemployment, extremely high suicide rates, horrific alcoholism, drug addiction, schools that are inadequate, health care that is inadequate. I pledge that if elected president, there will be a fundamental change in the relationship of the United States government to the Native American communities. When we talk about the crises we face as a nation, at the top of the list is the understanding that climate change is real. It is caused by human activity. It is already causing major problems in our country and around the world. We have a moral responsibility to leave this planet in a way that is healthy and habitable to future generations.